Mistake 6, sitting down determined. This one arrives after a bad stretch. You have had a few flat sessions. Perhaps you had a miss, and you resolve, I have been going through the motions. Tonight, I'm going to really focus. I'm going to concentrate properly and get a clear signal. That is discipline. That is you taking the practice seriously. And it is the single most reliable way to corrupt a session that I know of. Go back to the definition of noise, which is the most useful sentence in the book Spatial Psy. Noise is any impression that appears after effort, fear, desire, urgency, or a need to be right. After effort. That is the first item on the list, and it is the first for a reason. You have just sat down having explicitly resolved to try harder. You've loaded the session with intention, with a demand for a result. And your hands, which are obliging, which want to give you what you want, which have no capacity to refuse an expectation, will supply something. You'll get a signal. It will be vivid. It will feel earned because you've worked for it. And it will be manufactured, and you will have no way to tell because it will feel exactly like the real thing. And actually, worse than that, it will feel better than the real thing because a genuine signal simply arrives flatly without ceremony, whereas a manufactured one comes wrapped in the satisfaction of your own effort. A true signal arrives before you reach for it. If you had to work for it, you made it. So the correction is genuinely strange, and I know it sounds like an excuse for laziness. Sit down, expecting nothing. Do the steps. Let the session be what it is. And if tonight is flat, as most nights are, as day 7 established that most nights must be, then log the flatness and close the book. The signal you did not reach for is the only kind worth having. Determination is a fine quality in almost every other part of your life. And at this table, it is a contaminant. Mistake 7, and it's the last, carrying the reading out of the room. You finish a session. Something in it felt significant. And you think, I will stay open to this. I will hold it lightly in mind through the day and see how it unfolds. That is not obsession. That is attentiveness. That is taking the reading seriously. Here's what actually happens. A reading that follows you out of the room stops being a record and becomes a lens. You spend the day looking through it, and the day obliges, because a day will confirm anything you look at it hard enough, through. There is always something that fits. Someone says something that rhymes. A situation develops in a direction that could plausibly be what the geometry meant. And you will feel that as confirmation arriving. It's not arriving. You went and got it. That is not evidence. It is recruitment. And it will contaminate every entry it touches because you will write down that the reading was borne out. And you will have no record whatsoever of the fact that you spent 9 hours actively fishing for the thing you then recorded as a hit. That is why my spatial sight method has a session close, and why it is a step and not a courtesy. Close the field, stand up, the session stays on the table. This is also, incidentally, the mechanism behind almost every extraordinary confirmation story you've ever heard in this field. Not fraud, not delusion exactly, just an honest person who carried a reading around all day with an open, attentive, hopeful mind, and who found what such a mind will always find. Your disconfirmation line is written. Your window is named. The world will either do the thing or it will not, and you do not need to help it. Close the field. Go and have your day. Let the evidence come to you or fail to. Now, step back and look at all 7 at once, because they are not 7 mistakes. They're 1 mistake wearing 7 costumes. In every single case, you reach in and help. You hold the impression to log it properly, and you help. You read the interesting card first because it deserves the attention, and you help. You improve the map You deepen the void entry. You soften the claim so as not to overreach. You concentrate harder to get a clearer signal. You carry the reading around, staying open to it. Every one of those is an intervention. Every one is you, the practitioner, stepping into the process and adjusting it toward what you believe a good outcome looks like. And every one of them is performed by the conscientious part of you, the part that cares, the part that is trying. That is why they're so difficult to catch. You cannot find them by looking for laziness or dishonesty, because they don't live there. They live in your diligence. So here's the thing I want you to take from today. And it is uncomfortable because it runs against everything you have been taught about how to be good at something. The method doesn't need your help. It needs your restraint. Every structure in the system, the freeze, the sequence, the disconfirmation line, the void discipline, the close, exists to take the pen out of your hand at the moment you would most like to be holding it. Not because you're dishonest, because you're motivated. And motivation is precisely the thing that must not be permitted to touch the record. You are not an author of this reading. You are its stenographer. That was true on day 6 when I first said it, and it has not stopped being true. It is simply harder to obey now because you have skill, and skill is very eager to be used. Your drill today, and it is an audit rather than a practice. 1, run your session as always. Then review your map from 3 days back. That is day 12. 2, read the 7 mistakes again, slowly, and name the 2 you are actually making. Not the 2 that sound most impressive to confess, the 2 that made you uncomfortable when I described them. That small flinch of recognition is the whole diagnostic, and you already felt it at least twice while I was talking. 3, go and find the evidence in your log. It will be there. A claim you hedged into safety, a map you tidied, a void entry that is 3 sentences of poetry, and an impression you know you wrote down 20 minutes after it arrived. 4, and now the important instruction. Do not fix the old entries. You have been trained since day 3 not to reach backwards into a frozen record. And that training does not get suspended merely because you have now noticed something wrong with it. The record stays as it fell. Mark the entries, a note in the margin, dated today, hedged, improved after flip, logged late. Do not rewrite them. A log that shows where you went wrong and when you caught it is worth more than a log that has been cleaned. The corrections are themselves data. They are the record of your instrument being calibrated, and on day 30, you will want to see exactly that. 5, write the correction you will apply tomorrow. 1 sentence. Not a resolution to be better, a specific mechanical change. I will log impressions in the margin the moment they arrive with the time. That is actionable. I will be more rigorous as not, and you will not do it. That is day 15, and that is the halfway mark. 7 mistakes and 1 mistake underneath all of them, reaching in to help. Every one of them performed by the conscientious parts of you, which is exactly why you could not catch them by trying harder. The line to carry. The pen is part of the instrument, not a record of the instrument, part of it. Write it as it lands, where it lands, when it lands, in the margin, mid-session, with the time noted, interrupting whatever needs interrupting. Everything else is reconstruction, and reconstruction cannot be scored, and an impression that cannot be scored is not evidence of anything. You're 15 days in, 15 to go, and you now know something that most practitioners never learn, which is that the dangerous errors do not feel like errors. They feel like care. Watch for the flinch. When something I described made you slightly uncomfortable, that was not me being harsh. That was recognition, and it is the most useful signal you will get all week. You're not asked to believe, you're asked to record. Tomorrow, what to do when the geometry and the cards disagree. It happened to me in the worked example. The cluster was flatter than the map predicted, and I logged the mismatch without smoothing it over. Tomorrow, we take that seriously because the disagreements are not noise in the system. They may be the most informative thing the method produces. I'm Dr. Rivka Edery, signing off for day 15, hoping I will see you again tomorrow on day 16. Thank you and take care. Bye for now.